Rolex drops prices on watches after getting exposed by Chinese suppliers. That watch might look like a masterpiece, but open it up and you might find a $5 movement doing all the heavy lifting. Luxury on the outside, budget on the inside. It's like serving champagne in a red Solo cup. Welcome back to Opulent Oasis. Today, we're heading to the real HQ of the watch world, and no, it's not Switzerland. Shenzhen, China, quietly running the global watch game while the Swiss take the credit. 95% of watches, or at least their parts, come out of this one city. Swiss-made sounds classy, but let's just say it's got a little more passport history than it lets on. Even the big brands play here. Secret parts deals, hush-hush builds, quick turnarounds. Shenzhen's the industry's worst-kept secret, but somehow still not in the brochures. The Swiss illusion, how Shenzhen shook the watch world. Those $20,000 Rolexes? Turns out they might owe more to neon-lit factories in Shenzhen than snowy Swiss villages. And no shade to China, except when brands slap on a Swiss-made label like it's a passport stamp for premium pricing. Chinese factories aren't being subtle anymore. TikTok's spilling the tea. Insiders are naming names, and Shenzhen, it's flexing hard. When the same place that makes your earbuds also makes luxury watch parts, you start asking questions. Rolex even blinked. Quiet price drops on big-name models. Not a sale, just damage control. When the myth cracks, even the giants get nervous. Everyone grew up thinking Swiss watches were handcrafted by old guys in lab coats. Turns out, most of them are built like iPhones. Fast, efficient, and made in China. Over 95% of the world's watches come out of Shenzhen. That's not a footnote, it's the headline. And these aren't bootlegs. We're talking sapphire glass, ceramic bezels, tight tolerances. The same factories allegedly produce parts for Omega, Tissot, and yeah, maybe even Rolex. The only thing missing is the Swiss accent. So how do they still get to say Swiss made? Here's the trick. Legally, only 60% of the value has to be Swiss. Not the parts, not the build, just the value. Translation? If a guy in Zurich sneezes near the movement, it qualifies. You're not buying craftsmanship, you're buying a really expensive sticker, and people are finally catching on. The big media outlets? Silent. They've got ad deals to protect. Bloggers and influencers? Too busy enjoying free flights and 5-star Basel World dinners, no one's risking the bag to call out the bluff. So the truth's coming from the bottom up. Independent creators, factory workers, TikTok detectives, and they're not just pulling receipts. They're printing them. Rolex's quiet price cuts, that's not generosity. That's a brand trying to stay ahead of a story that's no longer theirs to control. Pause for a moment. Why not join our Opulent Oasis community? Hit subscribe to stay in the loop. Now, let's continue our journey. The silent price drop, Rolex's quiet retreat. Rolex didn't lower prices, they just adjusted reality. No headlines, no email blasts, just a soft whisper through a few authorized dealers, like a rich kid quietly returning a Birkin they swore was limited. And wouldn't you know it, that adjustment dropped right after a viral video showed Rolex-style cases being packed by the truckload in Dongguan. Timing like that doesn't feel random. It feels like someone hit the panic button in a Swiss boardroom. Rolex doesn't play with discounts. Their whole mystique is built on never blinking. So when they do, it means the pressure's real. They didn't flinch. They flinched in cursive. And that pressure, it's coming from people realizing the boutique isn't the only door in town. The moment the luxury curtain slips, folks stop chasing the velvet rope and start sliding into factory DMs. The underground watch scene, where the real tea is spilled. While the front end stays glossy, the back channels are buzzing. Telegram chats, WeChat plugs, WhatsApp groups where luxury watches get rebuilt like Lego kits for adults with taste. They're not even pretending these are knockoffs anymore. Same line, OEM, factory surplus. It's all code for, yeah, we made it, just not for them. It's like watching the understudy outshine the lead. And the spiciest claim? Some of these unofficial builds are made with leftover Rolex parts. Same bezels, same dials, just missing one stamp and a 5-figure price tag. Luxury watch brands like Swatch and LVMH, solid 10 to 20% profit margins. Not bad, but then you look at Apple cruising at 32% and Novo Nordisk pushing 39% off skinny pens and sugar pills. Suddenly, that overpriced watch doesn't feel like the real villain. Now Rolex, they're eating just fine. They're technically a non-profit, which means no public receipts. rich, secretive, and immune to shareholder drama. It's giving quiet luxury energy, but like tax optimized. So yeah, no evil lair, no cat-stroking billionaires, just an insanely wealthy brand that doesn't need to explain itself, and never does. But here's the real question swirling around. If the branding's that bold, what's the actual cost to make one of these watches? What you're really paying for? Hype over hardware. Let's call it what it is. That $6,000 luxury watch probably costs around $1,200 to make, maybe $1,500 if someone felt generous with the finishing. The rest? That's the because we said so fee, plus a little sprinkle of ego and a whole lot of marketing magic. Some brands even hike prices on purpose to keep the illusion alive, because if it's cheap, it can't be exclusive, right? Christopher Ward straight up admitted they cap at 3 times cost. Omega sits at 4 times. But Rolex, most estimates say 5 times and up. At that rate, you're not buying a watch. You're paying to be part of the cool kids club. What you're really buying is the vibe, the aura, that smug little nod from across the room when someone clocks your wrist. The watch tells time, sure, but the real flex is making other people stop and look. Now let's talk about the $60 Rolex from your Telegram plug. It looks decent in a filtered reel, but let's not pretend. It's basically Halloween for your wrist. Under the wrong light, it falls apart faster than your weekend plans. Pop it open and it's chaos inside, noisy movement, parts that look like they were borrowed from a keychain, and screws that seem personally offended they exist. No shade to the budget kings, but some of these watches tick like they've got stage fright. The metal scratches if you think about a wall. The lume's more suggestion than function, and the whole thing feels like cosplay with commitment issues. So, are luxury watches overpriced? Yeah, technically, but that depends on what you think you're buying. If you're expecting sacred Swiss sorcery in every screw, you'll probably walk away disappointed and broke. Because sometimes it's not about precision, it's about perception. Some brands throw together catalog parts and let the logo do the heavy lifting. The watch tells time, but the branding makes you feel like you invented it. But hey, if you know it's mostly theater and you still want front row seats, go for it, because the real value, it's not in the steel, it's in the strut. Is it overpriced? Of course. But if wearing it makes you walk taller and sit straighter, who's really counting? That little boost? That's what you're actually buying. The watch just comes with it. So, what's really going on here? Is Rolex trying to play nice, or are they just sweating now that people are realizing Swiss-made might come with a Shenzhen side hustle? Because let's be honest, Rolex doesn't tweak prices for fun. Quiet cuts like these usually mean something's off. It's less strategy and more, we hope you don't notice. Would you still grab a Rolex now? Or has the shine worn off a bit, knowing the magic's mostly marketing? No shade, some illusions are still fun if they fit right. Drop your take in the comments. Someone always says exactly what we're thinking, but spicier. It hits better when you're part of the mess. And if you're into watching the luxury facade crack in real time, hit subscribe, tap the bell, and stick with us. We're Opulent Oasis, and we keep it glossy but honest.